Yeah.
Ready to go? All right, I'd like to, 6 o'clock, like to welcome everyone and call this meeting to order. Everyone's here, we have a quorum, let's rise for the president. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. All right, agenda review. We have a few things to add to our agenda. You guys all have them, I believe, on your tables. The first one is the blue paper is a athletic position that we need to add to the consent agenda. The second one goes to the financial reports. That's right.
Yeah, two here for the
Two purplish colored ones. And then the orange is property state exemption request, which will go to an action item.
yes, to the action item for the low-income housing property tax exception.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda as presented. That's not right. For the property tax exemption for the action item. We have to do one at a time, right?
Oh, we're fine. Sure. Okay, so we have a motion. I mean, second. Second. So we have a motion made and seconded to add the property tax exemption request to the action items of the agendas. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next.
I move to approve the, I move to approve the agenda for the financial,
To add.
to the financial report.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to add the financial report to the financial report section of the agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh,
I move to approve the hiring of Haley Worrow to the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made to add the approval of Haley Worrow, the assistant basketball coach, to the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion. Thank you. Okay, we're on to reports. Ella, welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry that I had to miss last week because of cross country,
Yeah.
but I promise you I ran fast.
Good job.
So, I made a little slideshow today of the first term recap since we are wrapping it up this week. So, could you put the next slide, Jessica?
Maybe.
It's okay.
Oh, it decided to go suddenly. There you go.
Oh, okay, so our big ASB thing this term was homecoming week. We have our court up there and I couldn't manage to pull together any other pictures, but it was a Rio theme. We had some really fun dress up days. Our traditional activities, we have meatball, which Mr. Taylor ref for us. We're really grateful for. We had air bands. We had so many sports activities. We had the homecoming parade, and of course we had the homecoming dance. So yeah, I think it was a really big success. And if you're wondering about class points, the seniors did win, but we'll get them next year. So meatballs. Meatball is when the guys, when each grade forms a team that plays volleyball during our colloquium.
Volleyball.
It's boys volleyball.
Boys volleyball, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the girls play paddle pop.
Just
football, boys play, because we don't have boys volleyball.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay, and next up, our fall sports recap. Starting with cheer. They're kind of getting into their season since they go for 2 terms, but they have competed, I think, at 2 competitions now, and they're doing amazing. They've had a lot of good wins, and it's their first competition in a couple of years, so that's really exciting to see. We had both, catch me if I'm wrong, both soccer teams make it to the playoffs this year, and boys won league, which was awesome to see. Football also made it to the playoffs this year, which was again some really good games in there. And then as for cross country, we had 3 athletes make it to state. Shout out to Maddie, Will, and Kyle. Maddie Mankey placed 6th at state, which is really cool. And up there we have our pictures of our 2 home meets, 3-course challenge, which I remember talking about, and Ridgeline, which is up around the school. And then volleyball, we had our first league game win in a while. And yeah, they had a really good season too. Yeah. Next slide. For performing arts, because I want to make sure we include everybody. Obviously, we have a band concert today, which is why I'm dressed like this. I'm gonna leave after this. And then we also got to perform for the community at our Elks Lodge on Veterans Day, which is becoming a thing that we do annually. We play like the Armed Forces medley and dropping stuff. And the America the Beautiful, and the veterans really love it, and it's great exposure for us. Choir just had their fall cozy concert last week, and it went really well. They were performing up in the cafeteria, and then drama, if you didn't get to see it, their last performance was this Saturday, and it was Almost Maine, and it was really impressive. Not what you'd expect, not that our drama department isn't awesome, but really high quality and just a really enjoyable experience. So check that out next term for the 1X. Next slide, please. And then just more coming up. This week we have the ASB food drive, and we're still asking for donations from everybody. And we have a fun raffle going on with that. We have Ridgeline Club meeting on Wednesdays. We have dual credit classes, college visits, so many things. Winter sports are starting up. Super excited for swimming. You guys should come down and meet sometime. We finished up PSATs and SAT season, if you want to call it. Yeah, so scores are in for that. So that's something. And then everything else, and it's finals week. So yeah, thanks for a great term. That's it.
Nice job.
And I'm gonna
Great
get out of
slideshow.
here. Thank you.
Fun at your concert.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll be listening from here.
Yeah,
I'll drum loud.
okay.
Great job. Thank you.
Okay, next is our equity audit reports.
Hey, nice to welcome Katie Swalwell and Jenny Reisner. But while they're heading up, Jenny Reisner, who you've met before, is our director of student services, and I'd like to introduce, and Jenny will introduce Katie, but Katie comes to us from Iowa and has worked with us on our equity audit. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I said we get to follow that up.
Yes, no.
Phenomenal students.
I know.
That's no fair. So I think the next slide, thank you. You want one more? Yeah, I wanted to just quickly talk about Katie before she gets started. We are so fortunate to get to have Katie in a district our size. She is a national expert in anti-oppressive K-12 education. She's a former social studies teacher, so she's got lots of classroom experience. She's been a professor, and you know, she now works more as a consultant, but she has a gift of being able to really bring this work to teachers, to staff members, and to a level where we're able to really implement the practices. And so she is the owner of Past, Present, Future Consulting and Media, and also a lead equity specialist at the Equity Literacy Institute. She's published over 13 books, it may be more than that, but 13 is what I looked at, and tons of articles, and co-author on different projects. And then she also co-hosts a podcast. It's phenomenal. It is. I spent many, many hours listening to her podcast. So I just stuck some of her books up there, but again, it's just a gift that we get to work with her, and she's going to go into some work she did with us around an equity audit and then the follow-up that we've done with her since then.
Hey, thanks, Jenny.
Hi,
Everybody. You remember the old school film strips that you'd have to say boop, and then that would move the slide? I think that's what I'm gonna say. You did a good job. Great. So I just really quickly, I think I'm not gonna take more than 10 minutes just to review what an equity audit is, why they are important to do, and then how they're being implemented here at Seaside. Boop. Great. I start all of our sessions by talking about the definition of inequity that we're working with. This comes from a book I wrote with Paul Dworsky called Fix Injustice, Not Kids. And we really use this definition to frame the entire equity audit process. So we're looking at the distribution of material and non-material, access and opportunity. Material things are like books, technology. Non-material things are like time, ways of getting to and fro places, transportation, etc. Access and opportunities resulting in outcome and experience disparities that are predictable across social identities. So when we talk about outcomes, that's the output data like test scores or attendance rates, and experiences are what happens while students are at the school. We can have high attendance rates, we can even have high test scores, and students might still not be having a great experience while they're at school. So we want all of that to be true. And then the key here is that not every kid is going to have the same exact experience because we're humans and we're different, but we're looking for predictability and trend lines across time and across social identities. So we'll talk a little bit about the importance of disaggregation, but that predictability is really important so that we can say, oh, the odds of students from this group struggling in school or not having access to something are disproportionately high or disproportionately low. And we want to make sure that we are ensuring access and opportunity to all the students in the school. Oop.
It's very slow today, sir.
It's okay, you're okay. I want to just, I am a former social studies teacher, and anyone who's been to any workshop with me knows I can't help myself. I always have to do a little bit of history instruction. Just to note, Oregon is not unique in this, but in terms of public school history, it is a long history of inequity, and public schools were in many ways not constructed to serve all students. That's the history of public education. And Oregon is not immune from that. And there are lots of different examples, starting from when it was founded as a state all the way up until recent time. And that includes students of color, that includes LGBTQIA+ students, that includes students who are immigrants, that includes students who are in poverty, students with disabilities, all of those categories of students. And yet, just as much as there's a history of that inequity here, you can switch. There's always a history of resistance and of people pushing back and advocating for better education. And Oregon has a long history of that as well, including recent legislation. This is just one example, Senate Bill 732, which instructs all schools to have district equity committees. As Susan mentioned, that I live in Iowa, and this is a state with the opposite kind of legislation where a district wanting to have an equity committee would not be permitted. So this is an important place for Seaside to be and for Oregon to be, to really advocate for students and make sure that this is possible. Other examples include curriculum. Oregon has some of the most fantastic curriculum standards and legislation, including tribal history, shared history. That's very unique. That's not something that exists across the country at all. Again, I live in a state where we have legislation that actually discourages or penalizes learning about communities that have been there, including Indigenous communities. And so that is, again, another reason to be excited to be part of public education in Oregon. You can switch again. So in Seaside, there are many reasons I'm excited to be working with staff here. I not just because it's in Oregon, but I think Seaside is really leveraging the expectations that the state has and the requirements it's set forth in a really powerful way and an impressive way. The Equity Advisory Committee, I was able to meet with that group the first time they met, and they've met since then, and it was constituted in a really fantastic way. I think Susan did a great job with that. The equity audit action plans, those are underway with building leaders. Susan, chime in at any point here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that we, our equity advisory committee is made up of, parents, students, and staff, and it's a really great mix. We meet monthly. We just met, last week, and, it is really great. We're focusing right now on, how do we better communicate the services that we have in our district so that especially students and parents know what we can offer. And I'll just highlight, one of the students on our committee has been really instrumental in teaching us how to best communicate with students. So you will have members of the Equity Advisory Committee later this year coming and presenting to you about their work. I'll turn it back over to
Yeah,
you.
thank you. You'll hear a little bit more about the equity audit, but every building leadership team has already crafted action plans, and those action plans are unfolding as we speak. They're taking steps to address things that we learned in the equity audits. And then we're engaging in a professional development cycle. So last year, my colleague Daniel Spikes and I worked with the district administration and the building level administrative teams for what we were calling cycle 1. And that was to teach that group about equity audits, how they work. Our goal is to build up the capacity within the district so that you don't have to rely on external people, but that it's almost like a class we're teaching so that there's a critical mass of people in the district that know how to keep the work going. This year, the administrative teams are moving on to the second level, and there's a new group that's in of instructional coaches, assistants, classroom teachers, from across K-12 that are part of that group. And then ideally next year, we will have the administrative team go on to the last level, the group this year go on to level 2, and one last group join in the cycle 1, in the level 1, and then create some materials so that new people coming on staff are always being onboarded into expectations for how that work happens. And this is a graphic of the equity lens that was developed by the district that Jenny and Susan led that effort. And you can click again. So equity audits, this is something that, gosh, is there as a tool, probably 20 years old. One of my faculty members when I was in grad school at UW-Madison was one of the creators of equity audits. That's where I learned to do them. And they're really fantastic ways to document where there are opportunities for the district to grow and to deepen equity for students, and also to document where things are going well and where the strengths are, because those you want to grow and protect and maybe even spread to other districts. It's a very holistic approach to data collection. Of course, there is quantitative data, and that is important, but we also do qualitative data. And again, we're not just looking at outcome data, but also experiences, how students are experiencing the school. Go ahead. So really, there are several categories that we look at. I mentioned disaggregation before, which means we don't just look at the entire population of the school, but we want to break down every category to look at subgroups of students. And we highlight the subgroups that we, historically and in current research, are most interested in making sure that there's equity because they're historically marginalized groups. So we look at ethnicity and race, we look at English language learners, we look at free and reduced lunch, we look at sex, gender, and sexual identity, we look at students with IEPs and 504s in terms of student identity. And then into the terms of the categories we're looking at, we collect data about academics, about extracurricular participation, about attendance, and about discipline. So of course, we're interested in the whole, but we're also interested in all of those subgroups because again, we're looking for disproportionality and patterns. So if you see this big circle on the right, the big donut, that is the demographics for the middle school population as a whole. So one of the core ideas of an equity audit is that no matter what category you look at, we probably should, depending on the category, we probably should see a slice of the donut that looks about that color pattern, right? Because that means that there's proportionality. So if we were to say who's in the play or who's participating in football, or in this case, who is in the category of excelling in academics, ideally you want to see roughly the same proportionality to ensure that there's no bias or there's no discrimination, not intentional necessarily, right? These are systems that have been built over a long time, but just to see where there might be some concerns. I will say it has been an absolute joy to work with the middle school leadership team, and I know that they're tonight. They're incredible, and have really embraced this report, and their action plan is fantastic. So if you look on the left here, when they were looking through the data of what is categorized as students who are excelling, you can see that there is disproportionality, right? So if the yellow group is the Hispanic Latino group, that group is smaller than we would want to see. So that means that white students are overrepresented in that category and Latino students are underrepresented in that category. It's not to say we don't want all students excelling academically, we do. But if we're looking at this group that's been categorized, this is an indicator that something's going on. It's a blunt tool, to be honest, because it can't tell you why that's happening, but it's at least an indicator of where there might be some hotspots to dig into and take a look at. So I like to think of it for we're at the coast, we're at the ocean. It's like the principals are the captains of a ship. And this is like a radar that's giving you information about what you might run into or what you might hit. And it's good information to help you navigate, to know what plans to make, where to focus your attention, etc. You can.
Quick question.
Yes.
Before you move.
Go ahead.
So you're saying if we're comparing or looking at the two circles,
Mhm.
that only 15% of the Hispanics out of the 34% are succeeding. So
Can
that's
I
a little
look
like
at
half.
the percentage?
It's only half of
It's
the
such a
Hispanics.
tiny
It's really
percentage.
small.
I was using it as an example. I didn't want to be so.
No, it's okay.
To simplify it so that it makes sense in my head.
So if we look at this, the category on the left, the donut on the left, what that's saying is of the students who are categorized as excelling, then I can barely
Says
read that
15%.
15.7% of the group that's excelling are Latino students. They make up 34.7% of the school.
Okay, so half then,
So
about half
About.
are selling.
I'd have to look at the exact numbers, but
But it's out of the pop demographics that you have here.
or is
It's
it
of the whole population of this.
Is that the
It'll have to-
total set of data you were looking at?
Latino population are
I see what you're asking, not half, it's 15%.
of 100%.
A bit-
100% of the
Yeah.
Latinos, only 15% are.
This one on the right is showing the whole entire school.
Okay, so this
So
has
the-
nothing to do with that circle then.
You're trying to get them to match,
Okay.
because this is great, these are the very common questions. So the one on the right is just showing you if we lined up everybody in the school and we sorted them out. So ideally, whatever subcategory we're looking at, we should see roughly the same breakdown. So we should actually see 35-ish% on the left as well.
Right.
Right? Because that would say, oh, that's proportional. So every category we're looking at, if we want to ensure that it's unlikely that there's any sort of bias going on or any kind of issue or concern, we should probably see it. Now, of course, when we say excelling, we would want 100% of every subgroup excelling all the time. That would be ideal. But this is sort of an additional concern, is that there's disproportionality. So a lower number of students, like Hispanic and Latino students, are less likely to be in the excelling category than white students. The other categories of multiracial, Asian American, Pacific Islander, American Indian are not too far off, right? But that would be where we would say, oh, there's something going on here that is that disproportionality. Does that help?
So that-
Yes, okay.
Like
Yeah.
the second, English as second language, wouldn't that be something you'd want to factor in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is why it's like a blunt instrument. So you
Yeah.
would say, and we could look at this, and if you want to click to the next one, not to get away from this, but just to give you another example. Go ahead and click on the next one. Oh, good, we're here.
We're still.
It's the same, so the one on the right. Oh, do you want to go back to the previous one?
No,
Okay,
there's still a little confusion about what it represents.
okay.
And it's 100% of the students, both.
It's, no, can you go back one? Thank you. What's your name? I feel like I should be saying. Thank you. So the one on the right, that's 100, that's Seaside Middle School demographics. That's a whole middle school. This one on the left, that circle represents all the kids who are considered
Excelling.
Yeah, okay, so 100% of the students that are excelling.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
15.7 isn't 15.7% of the Hispanic students.
Nope,
It's 15.7% of the students that are excelling.
that's exactly right.
They're Hispanic.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So the hope is that you'd be able to pull out, that was great. I feel like no matter what visual I use, there's always, it's like always difficult.
It's
to say.
tricky. Well,
Uh,
but once you get it.
Breaking it down.
Oh my God.
no, thank
Yeah.
you for the question and thank you for the explanation. That's great. All right. Hopefully this doesn't confuse us, but if we look at the donut on the right, this is the data for all extracurriculars. So we could even we did look at that, and just for the sake of space on the slide, that's actually pretty close for parity, right? That we have proportionality. So when I say disaggregate, when Daniel and I work with the data, we always keep trying to pull away layers. It's not like we're trying to catch anybody in a bad act, but we're just trying to make sure we have as much information as possible. So we said, wow, that's great. Extracurriculars are proportional. But of course, there's lots of different extracurriculars. And so we were curious, what if you break down the other extracurriculars? So for example, if we look at middle school cross country, then we can see that there is some disproportionality, right? Again, it's not necessarily to say that there's a problem. It's just to know this is what's happening and to investigate a little bit further, to follow up. So we're able to see where there might be, whether it's extracurriculars or attendance or discipline or academic data. We're trying to look at what the outcomes and experiences are for different groups of students.
So did you look at soccer
We did.
and what that looked like?
Yep.
Oh,
Different,
good.
right?
Dis-
Yeah, because
dis-
in order to
disproportionate.
reach
I
this
just-
proportionality, there has to be underrepresentation in one area and quote overrepresentation in another.
Sure.
We use this example this morning. I was doing workshops all day, and this is where it's a blunt instrument that just tells you something.
Right.
So you'd want to investigate. So you'd say, okay, disproportionality can be a problem. So we want to make sure that that's not what's happening. So this isn't the case here, but you could say, well, why is it that students aren't signing up for one sport, but they are signing up for another? It could just be pure preference, right? Sometimes when you start to poke around, what you find out is maybe it's preference, but it's also that this space is a hostile space for them, right? And so when you look at, let's say, AP classes, or you look at robotics or like the different extracurriculars, and if you see disproportionality, we should always ask why, what's going on? Because what we don't want is that the reason a kid is not doing something is because they don't feel welcome or supported or treated well in that space, right? That's what we don't want to be the case. So sometimes you investigate and can say, oh, my friend was like, sorry, I signed up, but that's it, you know? Other times you're able to get more information. You say, oh, there's actually something going on that's something that shouldn't be happening, and that we want to address that and make sure that kids are supported, embraced, etc. Yep, these are great questions.
Yeah, really good.
Go ahead. There we go. Okay, we also, in addition to that disaggregated data, I said that we have a lot of qualitative data. So we did a whole bunch of focus groups. I don't even remember at this point. I mean, it was
a lot.
24 focus groups with students of all ages, with staff, with other teachers. It was a whole bunch of focus groups. That is one piece that is helpful to have external people help with, just because sometimes people are willing to be more transparent with people who aren't affiliated with the district or with the school. And then we also did observations, lots of walkthroughs. We sat in on classes. It was several days worth of data collection. And so again, we're looking for areas where there could be improvement opportunities for growth, and then also documenting those strengths. And then we analyze all the data, we report out, we identify all the disparities and proportionality, and then we come up with research-based recommendations for when we notice that there are significant disproportionalities somewhere. We pull resources together to offer suggestions for what kinds of things could be done to find out more. And if those are in fact inequities or disparities that are rooted in treatment that needs to be changed, or practices that need to improve, maybe policies that need to change, we make recommendations for that. Go ahead.
Then the leadership uses the reports to develop their own action plans and to track their progress. Again, whenever Daniel and I work with districts, it's really important to us that we're building up the capacity of the leadership teams to be able to keep doing this work on their own. We do not see it as a success if we have to keep working with the district over and over and over again on the same equity audit. It's something that really needs to be owned by the leaders and by the staff in the school. Go ahead. And then what we recommend is every 3 to 5 years, a full equity audit happens again, so you can start to really track over time. Ideally, some of these data systems are set up so that you can pull that data and you can be looking more informally in that gap. We're not waiting another 5 years before we analyze any data, but that full report with the observations and the focus groups, that's pretty intensive. So those can wait a little bit longer. Go ahead. So just very quickly, the assumptions that we're making is that equity is good and equity is bad. I feel like that's important to say that. Trends and patterns of disparities are not evidence that anything is wrong with those students or those families, and that is a common misconception that is really damaging and hurtful. What they are evidence of are systemic structural problems, and that we're not necessarily always seeking proportionality. Sometimes that is the goal, but sometimes it's not. There are some groups that are designed, like my daughter is interested in the group Girls on the Run. Do you know this group? We should not be surprised when we look at who's involved in Girls on the Run. It's going to be 100% girls, right? So equity is what we're looking for, and that educators professionally, we are responsible to make sure that there is no systemic mistreatment or bias of students in schools. And so this is a way to track that, to inform our practice, and that the critical feedback that comes out of equity audits is really a gift. It helps us navigate, helps us know where we want to invest our resources and time and move forward. Go ahead. There is music, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Great. Okay, that's nice.
It's not.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't imagining it. It's a long day. And then the limits of the equity audit. I mentioned that it's a blunt instrument, so it can identify where there is disproportionality. It can even identify where there might be inequities, but it really can't tell us why. We can make pretty educated guesses, but there has to be more work done after that. Of course, an equity audit does not represent every single person's experience. Sometimes we do big surveys. Even then, you don't get 100% response rate. If you do, you're a miracle worker. I want to talk to you about how you got that. And even the focus groups are samples of student groups. And then it also cannot answer a values-based question. And that's really the role of the board and of the leadership, which is what are our priorities? What do we want to do about limited resources and where to distribute them? And when you get the reports back, and this happened with every building team, you have some options of what to tackle first. And the equity audit cannot tell you what to do. That has to be decisions that you all collectively make, or that the building leadership team makes about what the priorities are. Go ahead. So this is, you can just click until it fills up the slide, to be honest. I wanted to give just a very 10,000-foot overview of the findings from the reports. In yellow at the top there, you see that the reports absolutely included areas of strength and then school-specific issues. One of the areas of strengths that was across all the schools is just how wonderful students are here. Both my partner and I, when we walked through the schools separately, we had walkthroughs, we came back together at the end of the day, and we said, have you ever been in school with more polite young people? It was remarkable. Even tonight, someone held the door for, I mean, it was just like nonstop. So there are so many great things. And as I mentioned, the leadership teams have been so wonderful to work with. There's just a lot for Seaside to be really proud of. And I work in districts across the United States, and I am not one who's going to give out compliments unless I mean them. And I keep coming back with this team, and I'm always excited to work here because there are really exciting things happening here. That said, there are some findings across the buildings that we thought were important to note and that the building leadership has been working on. So the first and foremost finding, which is not uncommon in the first equity audit, is how little data has maybe been collected about things. That's huge, right? So it's about figuring out where and how we want to be able to collect more data and whose responsibilities that's going to be, how to do that in a way that doesn't burden anybody, and then how to make sure we have time to reflect on that data and make sense of it. So building those systems up is really the number one goal after these reports. We also know that attendance rates are low across all groups, and that's something building leadership is working on. We know that there's
Is that
underrepresentation.
consistent, or is there different groups
That's-
higher?
No, that one was
It is
consistent.
consistent.
Yep, and that's also not just a Seaside specific problem,
Yep.
but something to work on, right? We know that there's underrepresentation in terms of staff matching the demographics of the students. And so definitely a need for staff of color, especially bilingual staff. That's something that students in particular made very clear was a desire of theirs, was to have more bilingual staff. There were disproportionate academic struggles across the different buildings for English language learners, students of color, students with IEPs, and boys. And then there was some evidence of deficit thinking among some staff without taking up the rest of the meeting. Basically, deficit thinking is when we see disproportionality, we see different outcomes. And instead of reflecting on what our practices were or how that might be evidence of how we may not have supported a student or, you know, helped them in the ways they needed, we blame it on the student, right? Or the family. And we say, wow, you know, that's because they don't care about school, or that, you know, fill in the blank with a deficit explanation. Not a lot. I've definitely been in districts with way more, but just enough to say that should be part of professional development moving forward to make sure that's something staff understand. In the elementary, there were reports from some students of bullying, and the language the kids used was kids who aren't normal, which indicates that there's a sense of somebody's normal and somebody's not, which is something we would want to work on. And then girls reporting some bullying in the middle school. Examples of across the schools wanting to do curricular reviews to make sure that the curriculum is culturally relevant and rigorous, so that all students are being challenged and we're not lowering expectations for any students. There was some frustration with facilities at the upper school in terms of space. We think this is a beautiful school. I don't know if anyone can walk into this building and not just be completely wowed, but just thinking about the space that people need for the work that they want to do. And then there was some decreased participation in extracurriculars for students of color as they age. That was something that we also noticed. And again, it makes you wonder that it raises sometimes more questions than we have answers for. Go ahead. All right, so last but not least, what the board can do in terms of future equity audits. So of course, please, this is me asking you on behalf of these people I've worked with and really enjoy, is they are coming up with fantastic action plans. And sometimes those action plans come with requests for resources or an articulation of why resources ought to be invested here instead of there. And so just ask that the board understand where those requests are coming from and that this is the context that the leaders are working in. Everyone, you're part of the school system as well, and knowing that the district is really committing to ongoing learning about inequities and what the root causes are, I would hope that includes the board. It's just lifelong ongoing learning about that, especially groups that we ourselves might not be a part of, to make sure that interactions with district stakeholders are expanded so that people's voices are heard. I think that's something I love about equity audits, is trying to understand how people might be experiencing the school very differently, and it's important to investigate that. And then make sure that all of our decision-making is grounded in a commitment to equity. There, we have a plate and glasses, and those are metaphors that we use to think about equity, not as an add-on to anything, but as the plate that we're eating on. It's the lens, it's the way that we see everything. And the district leadership has been great in thinking every decision we make, every conversation we have, who might be left out, whose perspective are we not including. There's a set of questions that are helpful, and I think that's always good for school boards to keep in mind as well.
So when I hear audits, I think like CPA audits.
Yeah.
So is there a format, or is this a, you hire a qualified equity auditor that would get a report that would
Right.
compare to others and all that?
Like a CPA,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
There's, I mentioned that one of my professors when I was in grad school, this has been a long time ago, was one of the people who constructed the idea of this. And so there are templates that are out there that are research-based, and Daniel and I used one of those templates. And of course, you end up modifying it with whoever you're working with, because those student subgroups can be really different across different districts.
If we hired somebody other than you to
Right.
come in, they may have a different approach maybe, or.
They might
They
use
say
the different
use the same-
template.
Use the same, because I feel like that
Yeah.
data set's missing a few pieces, like
Sure.
English language is second. And these sorts of things, socioeconomic, we've got a,
Yep,
we got a lot
we
of-
did that.
okay.
Yep, the students, and the way that we determine socioeconomic is it's sometimes it's hard to pin down, especially when you think about our data collection. So sometimes we have to use with categories that the state requires. So students who are on free and reduced lunch is often the proxy that we use for socioeconomic status, or students on McKinney-Vento. Those are students that will be flagged.
The school district, because I think they're all free, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what makes it
Oh, I
difficult.
was gonna say, that's a.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No,
So
there- it's
we're
a-
trying to come up
Yeah.
with.
It's a challenging process. I was gonna say,
really
if I read different reports, would I get the same audit format that comes out from the CPA versus? the
It's
an
pretty
equity audit with
close.
the- Okay.
Yeah,
But you did all these audits.
Yeah.
You just showed us a small
Yep,
sample.
yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a
My
lot
gosh,
over out
There's
there.
it's just
Right.
pages and pages and pages and pages of data that's reported. It was really just like, the sample of how we do it, but the categories, I'm trying to think of a template that wouldn't have those categories. It's usually, I'm saying freedom to lunch, but social class, race and ethnicity, gender, sex, students with disabilities, which is usually 504s or IEPs. Trying to think if I'm forgetting anybody else. And then the categories that are looked at are the standard categories are academics, extracurriculars, attendance, discipline, which is like office referrals, expulsions, suspensions, that kind of thing. So the templates, graduation rates, sometimes college matriculation. So usually it's like a menu, and then when you're sitting down with someone who has hired like our team or whichever team to do it, you walk through the menu and ask what pieces make sense for this district, and to a certain extent, what you have the resources to do. So sometimes people will say, we want you to come in and do just the data analysis and teach us how to do that. We can't afford all the focus groups or the observations, or maybe we want you to do triple the focus groups, right? So there's always some flexibility, but those components are the same. It's a great question. So there's no like official board that certifies you, but it's usually the network of people who've been trained through graduate school. Yeah.
You did primary and secondary,
Or-
even though you showed secondary. data?
Yeah, we did the elementary building, the middle school, and the high school. Yep, and then we prepared reports for each building and a report for the district that looked at kind of district-wide issues. Mhm.
And do we have a copy of that in the packet or?
We'll continue to give you more information. We just wanted to give you a snapshot today.
Great.
I'll also share with you that we funded the equity audit through a grant through the ESD. And then our work this year as we continue to make our action plans is through a Meyer Memorial Grant. So all of this work has been grant funded.
Great. Like grants.
Yes.
I love grant.
We do too.
And like I said, we love these people, but we also, our job is to not be here for very long, or like as soon as we can build up capacity, the better, because it is something that it shouldn't be reliant on just one person who's committed. It should just be the routine practice of the district, and go well beyond what data the state requires for different reports. It's intended to really inform building level decisions on a very regular basis, and ideally board decisions as well. Okay.
All right.
Feel free to reach out if you have any more questions.
Yeah, so much. Thank you both of you. Thank you for all that hard work. Thank you. Superintendent.
All right, thank you. So I wanted to focus my superintendent report on a couple things. Thank you, Kyle, for bringing that up. So it's a good segue from an equity report to talk about student and staff safety. As schools have progressed over the years, we have more inclusion of students in public schools. And that, of course, comes with more students in our schools who have some challenging behavior. And so students, students with disabilities, students with autism, I'm really proud of the the model that we've built in Seaside School District with bringing all of our programs back in district. But I thought I haven't really shared with the board what kind of policies and programs we have in place. So how do we prioritize staff and student safety? Because this is challenging work for our staff. And as we all know, students express themselves through their behaviors. So starting with our school board policies, we have school board policies on staff health and safety. We have school board policies and an administrative regulation on our safety committee. In addition, in 2017, there was a Senate Bill 1062, which required all school districts to have a healthy and safe schools plan. We also have comprehensive trainings inside and outside the classroom, which I'll talk about on the next slide. We have a district safety committee that is made up of a number of our staff from different employee groups, as well as information in our building employee handbooks, and then information if a staff member is injured about how to report that. Next slide. So just to give you a little bit of information on the training that some of our staff go through. Yukuru is a training that is specifically on restraint-free training. If a student is dysregulated and is at risk of injuring themselves or a staff member, Yukuru is a training that uses pads to separate the student and the staff member to provide a more safe environment. We also have a training called Safety Care, which is de-escalation strategies. So when we see a student becoming dysregulated, the staff are trained how to work with the student in that way. We do have a number of students who are on health plans, and the staff who work with them receive medical training from our school nurse on that. We do have students who need to be lifted sometimes or transferred to different areas in the school, so we offer training on that. We also have protocols on toileting and changing some of our students. Every June, we have a series of online trainings for our staff to go through, and there are some trainings that all of our staff go through, like Title IX and confidentiality, child abuse, some other trainings. And then we also have specific training for staff depending on their role. For instance, custodians have specific trainings about handling certain materials and monitoring some of our materials that we use in the building. We also have some job embedded trainings. For instance, some of our staff who work in some specific classrooms are trained on the job with some of our special education teachers. So these are some of the ways that we work hard to equip our teachers and our instructional assistants with that safety training. Next slide. We've also, over the last 5 years, looked at our special education staffing to make sure that we have enough staff to compared to the number of students we have with specific needs. As you can see here, our certified staff, so special education teachers, you'll see an increase in that staffing over the 5 years, as well as the classified staff. Now, some of the classified staff increase is an increase in hours of our current staff, and then also some additions as some students move into our district and we need more staffing with that. As you know, we also made the decision to hire an additional licensed nurse for this year for the reasons of more individual health plans, in addition to all students who have asthma needing health plans as well. So that's some information that I hope is helpful. I'd be remiss in talking about health and safety without talking about our wellness plan. So I just wanted to share a little bit, a reminder about our wellness program. This is not new information to you, but a reminder about the priorities of our wellness program, which is for all of our students, all of our staff. And the priority that you've made to fund this program. Next slide. A reminder that every the first Wednesday of the month, we have our wellness program, as well as lunch provided for the buildings. And any of our staff, this is during the regular workday, and any of our staff whose workday has already ended for the Wellness Wednesdays, they can attend in time card for that. Next slide. Okay, and then we also have our connection events in the evenings throughout the year. To transition now, I must transition to some of the financial forecast. This is the slide that I showed you last month that the legislative fiscal office has been requested to go through a budget reduction planning. They're in the heart of that right now. To remind you that the timeline, they've already presented those options to the legislative fiscal office. Tomorrow is the day when the governor will present her budget. And so there's information to come soon. Next slide, please. An update a little bit on information there is you can access through these links, and I will make sure that you have this. I'll send it to you in an email, that more specific information that was sent out on their not only ODEs, but some other information from other departments in the state on what their recommendations are. Once again, tomorrow is when the state revenue forecast will come out. A reminder that there are no immediate cuts through here, and the legislative session will begin in February. That's the short session. It's about 6 weeks, and we'll see. While they say here there are no immediate cuts, we have already seen some cuts in 2 grants that we have, High School Success and our student investment account, to about $100,000 that we've seen cuts already. And that was a reallocation that they sent out. So more to come on that.
With that cut with the High School Success and was the second thing you said?
SIA. And SIA.
What if we had to cut back on with those cuts?
Well, we have a couple different options, and Tony will go into some details. We have some summer school funding we can use, and then remember that we did set aside some additional funding in reserves in case we have those cuts mid-year. So we will not have to cut any service at this time with that. Yeah. All right, that's what I have for you.
Thanks. Tony. And remember everyone, you have your 2 extra sheets.
Hello, everyone. So October was fairly good. But unfortunately, our tax collection was lower than expected for our mid-November collection. Last year, we collected $10.6 million during the mid-November collection. This year we collected 10.7 million. And the difference in that is 0.51%, 0.51% between the years, when we were expecting an increase between 2 and 3%. Received this news last night, so we'll be working on an updated cash flow projection on that. As Susan said, our SIA grant was awarded $100,000 less than we projected. The state is going through some budget reallocations, so that was part of it.
Excuse me, Tony.
I'm sorry,
Where are you on this? I'm lost.
sorry, it's just
Okay.
I can give you like what I'm saying out, print out if you guys would like it.
I don't need that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, and just, can I ask the question? Sure. It's just timing. There's been no reduction in the amount. It's just the timing.
It's the timing of the payments and, so our, of course, summer school grant is going to cover the entire $91,000, of that program. We've billed the state and did our report, so that revenue is pending. Our budget outlook is neutral as classified union has, chosen to move to mediation. I will know more about our cash flow next week. Our final tax payment for November deposits next week. So I'm hoping that there's just a timing issue with that November payment, but I will know.
Will we see some like you said, some trickle in from people paying their taxes?
Yeah, I
maybe?
think maybe they're paying late or maybe it's just a timing issue with that. So that's something that I'm gonna keep a close watch on. Is there any other questions?
So for 0.5 short for the November of what you projected based on a 2% growth, right?
Right,
So
we're a little.
Where are we for the year though, overall?
So,
Over or under?
so far, we're over a little
Okay,
bit,
by,
just slightly, about $100,000.
okay,
so
so
far.
flat, on target.
Yeah, it's so far,
On
yeah,
target.
and
Got it.
I'm cautious about that in the November payments.
Okay.
Because this is our big year, our big month
Okay,
to collect, so.
But just to make sure. You budget a 3% increase, which is pretty likely, and so we're gonna get it
Yes.
probably.
I'm,
But on the spending side,
It's-
are we on track there? on the
Yes,
spending
we're-
side, or-
yeah.
Okay.
That's, we have a few positions still open,
Good.
and so, I think we're on track. Spending wise is cash flow that I'm really looking at.
Right.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Tony. Advisory committee reports. Today we have Kevin and Chuck. What do you got for us today?
Okay. I'm new at this
You got it.
and
You do great.
no, I'm sure I can follow. But thank you for your confidence. But I mean, I was told this was just share things 3 or 4
Thank you,
minutes,
Dr.
so
Luckett.
I didn't do all that.
Mm-mm.
And if you want to look at more of those, I could do that some other time. Okay, October was my first meeting ever for any of the committees. And I will say Susan did a great job of making me feel very comfortable and reviewed a lot of different things to bring me up to speed so that I could kind of be on the committee and know where you'd been. As expected, many things for me had changed in the district. And yet there's still a lot of things that are very familiar. So some things I grasped very quickly and other things I'm like, wow, that's different. So let me figure that one out. One of those that's different is the Marzano model of instruction, which Susan explained to me, and I was relieved after having it explained that it's really a great framework and an organizer for what I believe anyway, every good teacher should be doing. Regardless of whether you use the model or not, everybody should be doing those things. Teachers and administrators are all up to speed on the model is what I understand, and that allows common dialogue and consistent expectations, which you can't go wrong with that. Susan also explained Panorama, which I still don't understand. And she explained how it was used by the administrative team to monitor attendance, academics, behavior, those sorts of things, which Nobody could quarrel with that. I think it's excellent. I just don't quite understand it. For example, one of the things that they're using the data for is early intervention on chronic absenteeism, which that's a big goal. My question, and I have lots of questions in this committee. It is an advisory committee, so I take that literally. So I'm liberal with my opinions and questions. My question was how much of this was being driven behind the scenes and how much of it's actually seen by the teachers so they understand how the decisions are being driven. And I feel somewhat comfortable because you explained the Solara component of Panorama, and I started to see how the teachers had a connection with what was going on here. We also discussed dual credit versus AP and some of where that has come from recently and why that's a topic that is part of this committee. And I have and shared strong opinions about those things. November covered 4 main areas. The first was curricula, and Kate did an incredible job. Kate's here somewhere, I think. Great job showing what's being used by subject and by grade level. Excellent chart. I see you sent me the chart on email, but I should have put it up on screen, I guess. I am told that there's a lot of excitement about the math curriculum, which is consistent across all the grades. And frankly, I'll be honest, that didn't mean a whole lot to me because I wouldn't pretend to know what are the best materials to teach third grade math. I wouldn't know that. So I'm glad.
They do.
Yes, I'm very happy that they do. High school science, on the other hand, I know a little something about, and it was not a surprise to me that they do not have consistent materials, but they've adopted materials from 3 different sources. And that to me makes a lot of sense because I never did see where one source was the best at all the different subjects. Biology, one publishing company was great. Chemistry, it was a different one. And I'm glad that they took the time, obviously, to do their research and get what they believed was best fit. The adoption cycle was explained. That I already understood. Every 7 years, each subject goes through an adoption cycle and they review things. They look at what the state approved materials are, choose the curriculum that best fits our needs. And I believe science and health have been the most recent. Is that true? Yay, thanks, Kate. I was listening. Then we looked at the compliance report and I didn't know anything about this. And I was really pretty impressed. I counted 61 requirements that the district must be in compliance with. Or if they're not, they have to show why we aren't and what our corrective plan is to the state. The short story here is that we're compliant in all areas. So the district's doing a great job with that. Some examples of when I'm talking about compliance report: diploma, modified diploma, extended diploma, certificate of achievement, veterans diploma. Or you look at other things and it's like special education, talented and gifted, universal screening for the potential for dyslexia, sports concussion protocols. There's just a huge variety in those 61, and they all have some pretty significant areas that are important. Then we looked at the year-long calendar of our data cycle. September, I believe it's the administrative team that's looking at these things. Is that right? September, they were looking at the demographics of the school district. October, they were focusing on extra and co-curricular activities. November, discipline and attendance. December, academics. And then they start to revisit those. Well, not demographics because they already know that one, but they start revisiting those on a regular basis. In a nutshell, that ensures the administrative team is looking at things on purpose instead of just anecdotally thinking, hey, I noticed. Did you see? Yeah, it's an actual specific plan, a framework that works. Data is being compiled to be used today and to be able to see some trends in the future. So this data-driven stuff, which I kept hearing, I actually got to start seeing, and it makes me feel a whole lot better about what we're really doing. Looks like a tool with great potential. So anyway, like I said, I raise questions. I have opinions. Susan hears them.
And I,
So far,
Thank you.
so far, I haven't gone out of my lane, I hope. And Kate, you've done an awesome job of helping me get up to speed. Thank you both. Oh, and I will mention the reason I'm saying this, Kevin was unable to make the meetings here, otherwise he would have been sharing in this.
you know, it is interesting to see, because we did a lot of work around curriculum, and with all the ESSER money that was spent wisely, we've got all these new tools, and I'm really anxious to see how they impact outcomes,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Administrative reports.
Also, wait first. Yeah, to Kevin's question before I go. Kevin, that is a really great question, and that's what we're always looking for, is to see how the money that we have spent affects our students and our students' outcomes. And I know that I wasn't here in October, but I believe that the elementary school shared with you some impressive progress that they're making based on some curricular changes and programmatic changes that they've made. And so, yeah, that's what we're always looking for, is to see improvement based on the decisions that we've made.
Right, that's great.
So thank you for asking that. And Chuck,
Well,
wow. Nailed it.
I had a good teacher.
Yeah, nailed it. I wanna just very briefly talk to you about our Grow Your Own program. We have been really lucky since 2022 to be able to offer a kind of a pot of money to our employees who either want to get a teaching license or get an endorsement to their current teaching license. And the reason why we prioritize this is because in rural school districts like ours, it is, you know, that retention of staff is kind of, you know, an issue. We need to be able to attract good staff, and we need to be able to retain good staff. So we have been able to offer money for people to get licensed so that they can kind of stay or get moved from a classified to a certified position. So in 2022, we had 14 staff who took advantage of this. In 2023, we had 12 staff take advantage of it. Chuck's like, wow, I don't remember this when I was teaching. In 2024, we had 14 staff, and in 2025, currently, we have 9 staff. Of those 49 staff over those years, 63% of them have been our classified employees working towards a teaching license or some other kind of licensure to be able to move them from a classified position to a certified position. And that's all I have tonight for you. So thank you.
And they can like, say, a secretary that wants to teach,
Yes,
or
yeah,
does it matter?
we have a secretary enrolled this year in the program. Yes.
I think I remember this, there weren't any limitations on the number of applicants, right? Was it resource constrained? It was.
Yeah,
if you
there was a
wanted to do it-
deadline.
Yeah, always a deadline.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to do it, no one got told no.
Absolutely. And then what we did, Jason, is those years that there were 14 people in the pool of applicants, they each got a little bit smaller slice of the pie. So we take our pot of money, and then this year we had 9 applicants to divide it among. So they each are gonna get a little bit of a larger portion than maybe the year that there were 14 applicants.
So it doesn't cover everything, but it
No.
covers most.
No,
Yes, or
no.
some, gotcha.
But it is this year we'll be able to make 2 payments of $1,900 each to our 9 participants. So that's, it's almost $4,000. That's pretty helpful.
Are there any other opportunities, say, outside of being a certified teacher, like nursing or other things?
We have in the past, supported somebody who didn't get a nursing license, but got an EMT license. We have supported somebody who, got a librarian license. We have supported,
Counseling.
counseling, thank you, counseling.
Mhm.
Yeah, so what we want to try to encourage are positions, in the district that are really most helpful to us. So like a reading endorsement, we've done that, we've supported reading endorsements.
And there are other programs, I know. I don't think it was this exactly, but my wife was recruited back to be a supervising teacher to get a classified person their endorsement in special education.
Yes, and we've done that,
Special education as well.
we've supported special education.
Which is obviously
Very,
always
yeah.
a position
Yeah.
of need.
Reading
Everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and the other thing that most districts offer, and we do too, is that, our certified staff, if they see some workshop that they want to take or something that they want to learn more about, we have a tuition reimbursement program, and each staff gets a certain amount of money every year towards tuition reimbursement. But that's kind of outside of our Grow Your Own program.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
Julie, are you ready? Do you want to go next? I can just see you right there. Oh, yeah, and Desiree and Ellie, yeah, you all come out together. I like it.
Have a few things to share with you. Always a lot happening at the elementary school. One of the most recent things we completed was our first round of instructional rounds with our teachers. We do instructional rounds 3 times per year, once per trimester. And what instructional rounds looks like is I think we've got 3 subs for half day, and they go with our instructional coach to visit other classrooms. And the purpose is to observe other teachers teach good instructional strategies, the Marzano framework strategies that Chuck spoke about. And then they have a professional conversation discourse around what they saw, how they could implement that in their classroom, things that they're doing. So that we did that last week, once last week and once week before. And then we have our student of the month clap out coming up tomorrow. So if you haven't ever seen a student of the month clap out, hop on down. It's pretty fun. It was born out of COVID when we couldn't have big assemblies. And so our students that get their student of the month for the character trait this month is gratitude. And then they also have academic growth awards, where they recognize them for growth in the classroom, and they get their little certificate. We take a big picture of them in the cafeteria, and then they walk in a parade with their certificate and their smiling face around, and all the kids create a big clapping, cheer line. So it's a really sweet and great way to celebrate their growth and their character trait, student of the month. And then we are also doing Sitka Art again this year, collaborating with the Sitka Art Ecology Center. And so our first graders, our second graders, and our tag students are participating in that once a month.
And I'm just gonna jump in. In October, we had our parent conference meetings and they were really a great success. Most classes had an 80 to 100% attendance rate from families. That's a great way to connect, to support kids, connect with parents and figure out how we could, help what they need at home and in the classroom. And what's really fun is we have a book fair and the kids love it. So that kind of, I think, helps the attendance because they're like, let's go to the book fair, right? So shout out to Bruce's Candy Kitchen who helped support by giving our teachers books in their classrooms. They helped make that happen. And then, so that was back in October, but looking forward, this tomorrow, a couple days, Saturday, what day is it? Saturday, we have a vision van coming. Our nurse helped set this up, and this is going to provide free eye exams and glasses for 60 students in Clatsop County, and 28 of those students will be from Seaside School District. And our staff will be helping to volunteer. So pretty, and I think that's fun to connecting with our families that way too.
All right.
Okay, so kind of our attendance initiative district-wide, we also have teachers setting attendance goals within their classrooms based on kind of the makeup of their students and if they have any chronic absentee students. So we're starting to have classes meet their individual class attendance goal. So last week we had a second grade class who had all students there for all 5 days of the week. So they got a little pit party, which is someone in the staff kind of front office or admin puts the pip costume on and went into their classroom and delivered hot chocolate, and they got to have a little celebration for being there every day. We have an upcoming food drive, which is generating a lot of buzz around the school. It's kind of a grade level competition to see which grade can bring in the most donated goods. And then the grade that gets the most donations will have an extra recess with Pip and Friends, which is Pip and a giant inflatable snowman, which will be one of our counselors, Mr. Bowden, and a giant inflatable polar bear, which our very own Miss Wozniak here will be. So yeah, just a lot of excitement as we kind of head into these start meeting goals and then head into an upcoming challenge.
Awesome.
Thank you.
It's
March, there's like whenever they expire, so we can't sell them until they, right, if they're a year. So we're starting to work on that, with PTO, and I think it's March.
All right, thanks. Wendy, you're up. Upstairs. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And Carolina.
Jeff said that Ellen did his job for him. So.
Yes.
When I get on home, so yeah, he like really took everything that he wanted to say. So he's at that band right now, enjoying that lovely concert. So yeah, I think I just always want to start by saying we're in the last week of the term, and I think we've had a really successful first term, and that doesn't happen without our staff. And that, really takes a whole village. So our certified staff, our classified staff, all the after hours and coaching that goes into really making our school a success. And so just a big shout out to all of our staff for making this a really successful first term, especially in middle school. I think sometimes Carlina and I look at each other and go, oh, this is going really well. I don't want to jinx ourselves. We're going into term 2 at middle school, but so it's been really nice, and I feel really privileged to work with such a talented group of people and really appreciate them all. I wanted to circle back to just a couple of things that we're doing kind of in relation to the equity audit. So some of the data that we got, one of the things that we're really excited about that we started this year in conjunction with our counselors is a student advisory council. So we started that just last month. They meet twice a month, and they give us feedback on a lot of different things. Right now, they're really focused on student mental health and safety, which I think is really interesting and awesome to hear all of the ideas that they have and the feedback that they're giving. So we're working to build that out a little bit more. So students were able to volunteer for that. We had teacher recommendation, and then we had students recommend other students. So we're really excited to build that and hopefully build that out into high school as well. Another thing is just increases in community partnerships. So one of the things that we do a lot of at middle school is student-led clubs and some community-led clubs. So one of the pieces that we started this year is we have a weight lifting club. I guess it's weightlifting. It's a lot of parkour and dodgeball, to be fair, but, we partnered with Dan Leary and Evan, Yokoyama to bring that in on Fridays for students to sign up for, but we also have partnered with one of our elective classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so they come in and provide extra movement and instruction for our kids. So that's been a really cool thing for us this year. Our chess club is full to the capacity every week, and that's led by community partners. And then we also do an art club, which has just continued to grow. So it's always something that we're looking for, but it's really nice to see those pieces come together. Attendance. So attendance is a district focus that I just kind of wanted to shout out. I know elementary talked a little bit about it, but in September, we had 21% of our students, so 71 students critical, and critical is any student that's below 80% attendance, and in November, we're at 12%. So we have 42 students only who are at critical attendance. And then our average daily rate of attendance last year at this time was about 84%, and we're at 90% this year, and that's just our average daily. And then in September, our overall percentages were at 60.4%. In October, we bumped that all the way up to 73%. So I know those numbers sound low, but that's a pretty significant jump. November, we're looking a little sadder in November. I think the ice activity that happened really gave a pretty big hit for us last week. But we are have so many kids that are just kind of hovering right at that 88%. 90% is what's considered a regular attender. And so we're making improvements there. So we're excited about that. When we're talking about winter sports, so we're 3 weeks in for winter sports, and basketball is well underway. We have big teams this year, enough to even do a B extended, which is exciting. But I think one of the most exciting parts of middle school is we have a girls wrestling team for the first time. We have 12 students out for that. Tomorrow is our first and only home wrestling meet. So I would encourage you, if you have an opportunity, to come out and see that. They had their first meet last week, and I heard it was pretty awesome.
Is that in the middle school gym? Sorry.
It's in the high school gym.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where the wrestling mats are. It starts at 4:00. Yeah. So yeah, I would encourage you to come out for that. Last thing that we're excited about, we have a really awesome district wellness program. We are gonna test run a student wellness hour where we're partnering with community partners to come in and offer different wellness opportunities for our students. So some of the ideas that we have martial arts coming in, we have artists coming in, yoga, those types of things. So we're excited to pilot that and then hopefully run that before spring break as well, if it goes well for us before winter break.
Yeah, and talking about wellness, this week is Wellness Week. So yesterday during lunch, the kids got to watch Home Alone during their lunch. Scavenger hunt today. They have raffled Wednesday, board games. They have a week competition coloring, so they're having a lot of fun with that. We're also running our own little soccer tournament in the mornings during homeroom. So Miss Ice kind of started this last year, the year before, where her sixth graders play. This year, the sixth graders all played each other in PE and created teams. And now in front of the whole school, all the teams are playing each other. The winners of each period. And this morning's was spectacular. I would have paid hundreds of dollars to watch this. I mean, one of these kids, Gael, he did an actual 360 in the air with the ball, and his foot motions were just amazing. He's gonna get like a 4-year scholarship to the university. It was incredible to see. So we have that going on, and then they're gonna play the champions of last year as well on Friday, and there's big trophies. Or the kids get their names on the trophy. So it's been a lot of fun for the whole school going in and watching that. In addition to that, we have live assemblies every second Friday now for the kids during homeroom. You are all invited to participate, to come see that. And if you'd like to participate, send one of us a an email or Shelby Gagnon, and we'll incorporate you into the fund. So kids really love that. Hispanic Parent Nights, we're going virtual for the rest of the year. So tomorrow night we will continue on a virtual platform. And just those families will be invited to participate. We'll get the Zoom link for that or Google Meets. And for the first time ever, we are incorporating elementary school as well. So it will be all Hispanic families, K through 12, which I'm really excited about. Thank you. And I don't know if I'm missing anything. I think that's it.
Popcorn Friday.
Oh, yeah, Popcorn Fridays. How can I
Really
forget
fun.
Popcorn Fridays? So another something new that we've done for the last couple of weeks is every Friday, if the kids have sharp gear or are in school colors, they get some popcorn, so that's been a lot of fun and the kids have been really enjoying that.
Well, and now high school got jealous, so now it will be high school and middle school on Fridays, so that's a great opportunity. If any of you want to come in and help serve popcorn, we would love it.
That's
I don't want to take it down a notch, but if you saw a statistical anomaly in attendance based on perceived ICE activity, and we assume that that's the case, can we just make sure we follow up a correction to that next month? And two, like, if in fact it doesn't correct, or if in fact if it was there, what are we doing about it? Like, I want to put that
We've been talking
your
about
way. I know
Yep.
you have.
Yep.
Like, I just want to. You communicated out the concerns in the email. I like that. I want to make sure that we show that there was a drop in attendance, which we assume attributed to that. It is since corrected, and for the community, this is what we're doing about to make sure that the students didn't lose any ground. Okay.
Yep.
Everybody good on that?
Yeah.
I can be pretty fair to say that that wasn't an assumption.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's be very accurate in our statements and facts, and then follow that up with, this is what Susan and the staff and the teachers put on their backs to correct for it. Okay. Good. Is that fair?
And just really quick, one of the things that we did do is we created safe places at lunch for any students that were needing a little extra support. So that's something that we did immediately and followed through with some communication to families right away as well.
Or you were talking about they're not losing academically.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
They were on.
All the things,
Yeah.
shine a big giant light on it. You guys are doing incredible work. It's absolutely out of the norm.
Yep.
We should be proud of it. We should shout for it, and then we should do everything we can. And if we need more resources, we should go find the resources.
Yep.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. That it? Yep. Okay.
That's it.
The Academy is Mary Ellen.
I don't know. Is she online?
Yeah,
Kyle?
Kyle. Mary Ellen from Canada Beach Academy. There is a report in our.
That you can take a look
Yeah.
at a later time.
Yep. You can see her. Okay, Union. Brett.
Hey guys, how you doing?
You're in a bit.
Great. Let's see. First of all, I'd just like to say that this is my second time being president-elect of the union, and so this is my second time speaking at board meetings, and I'm still kind of at a loss of what you guys want me to say. Not in terms of like, tell us what we want to hear, but in terms of what do you want to hear about the members of the union, the teaching staff. I really am a person that is straightforward and honest, and when I say that union leadership, they are the barometer of what is going on in the district, is very true, because people do come to us and trust us. And so, yeah. There's a lot of talk about wellness, and wellness is doing great. I think our wellness program is amazing. It's one of its kind. It's got state notoriety, and thanks to the school board, we are investing in it and doing more with it, which is awesome. What I've heard recently from members is that they are absolutely loving the Wellness Wednesdays, the lunches, the activities, and the outside activity groups. But what I'm also hearing is that the school district should also look into daily wellness systems for teachers in individual buildings. There's a lot of research and information out there now about staff, how we make sure that our staff are regulated, not just students, because with the expansion of SEL, social emotional learning with students, we're doing a great job serving the needs of our students social emotionally. But I think staff are kind of missed at times. And so with November here now, and with the holidays coming up and with academics in full swing, student behavior is up, which is normal. It's not like an alarm or anything like that. It's a normal thing for student behaviors to amp up during this time of year. But we want to make sure that we really look at the teachers and make sure they're being taken care of. And so what I mean by like daily school building systems, like we want to make sure that our teachers have the ability to regulate when they are dysregulated, just like students. We're not immune to that. And so we just want to make sure that there are systems in play at each building for that, because there's a lot of information around co-regulation in terms of this teacher needs to be regulated and so do the students in order for learning to happen. And I know that you guys are all really like looking closely at the investments we're making in terms of student achievement. I just want to make sure you guys aren't overlooking that aspect of it, because I hear a lot of that of where teachers are just feeling stressed out. And when teachers are stressed out, they're not able to give their best instruction. We talk a lot about Marzano and how it's really making a great impact, and it is for sure. We just want to make sure that teachers are able to do those strategies. And so with that, we want to make sure, like I said earlier, we want to make sure that they're able to have systems to regulate themselves when they're dysregulated due to student behavior or stress. But also in terms of being prepared for lessons, we can get the PD and learn how to use these amazing strategies that we are using. But if we don't have the time to really dig deep into it individually as teachers and to really turn those strategies into personal growth and personal instruction for our students, then those strategies aren't going to get used the way that we want them to be used. So, lastly, I just like to say that SEA is in full support of the OSEA bargaining efforts for a fair contract. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, like when, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
To answer your question about like what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff is what I would like to hear. Like,
Okay.
what is the pulse of the teachers right now? We're not in the classroom. We don't know. You know, so we can't help you if we don't know, or we can't give you resources if we don't know. So just that kind of, without breaking any obviously confidentiality or whatever, just that pulse on what are you hearing out there in the field? Yeah.
I think what you presented was a great example of what I would like to hear. So I think you got a good grasp of what you could be presenting. The second question I had, or I guess that would be my first question. What does it look like for a teacher to have that help with self-regulation?
We did come like a general example would be there's a student that's just regulated in your room and you're having to deal with it, and it triggers you, it gets you to a state of where you can't think clearly. We talk about in terms of zones of regulation, how like green is you're doing good, you're doing great, yellow, you're amping up a little bit, and red, you're out of control. When a student is in the red, it tends to bring teachers into the yellow. And so an example would be they have the ability without any guilt or retaliation to ask for someone to step in and take over the class. They have systems in their room where they can build in holding patterns for other students so that they can deal with the student that is dysregulated and not be frowned upon if someone walks in and says, how come your students weren't doing this particular thing during math time? Because, you know, teachers, they do well when they can, just like students. And so the best intention assumptions for what is going on in a classroom needs to be done, you know, for an admin to walk in and see those kind of things. And I'm not saying they're not happening, they definitely are happening, but I just, you know, teachers are very into self-reflection and they do feel super guilty when they have to stop instruction due to student behavior. And so just to be able to have a climate in the building where it's okay that we had to stop math instruction so that there could be a holding pattern for students to stay safe and be on task doing something else while the teacher is able to regulate themselves or regulating their student.
And this is across the primary and secondary, because I know you know, with my kids, but also includes the high school, middle school. You're speaking about it broadly. Okay.
Yeah.
That was pretty much my question, but also are there spaces for teachers to go to, like if they need to step away? Are there like, I know we have spaces for students, right? If they need moments, do we have spaces for teachers?
Yeah, I don't know personally, because I mean, and if I'm unclear on something, then maybe other staff don't know either, but I'm unclear of that. I don't really see, I mean, we can go to the office and go in there because that's a good space where we feel safe and we can talk to each other. But in terms of like asking, can I leave my class to go and, you know, regulate? I really don't feel comfortable doing that. So I think our school district could do a better job at that, for sure. I'm not saying they're not trying to do that. I'm just telling you like how teachers are feeling at this moment.
You've described that very well. I understand what you're talking about, and I know that that often happens more organically, not systematically.
Yeah.
You know, one teacher looks after another across the hall because they just do that.
Mhm.
But, yeah, systematically, that's an interesting concept. I like that.
Yeah, teachers are rule followers. They don't want to break rules, right? So,
And they don't want to shine a light on them that makes them look bad.
right, exactly, yeah.
So we obviously don't want a solution this here. I
No.
assume this is not.
I just made it
Force Mr. Dewar, we
Yeah.
brought these to you first.
Right.
I would hope that you, right.
Yeah.
You want to kick that over to your curriculum?
But I think what's important here is Susan's heard it. And we've heard it so that we can understand, and if there is a plan that comes before, we can be supportive.
Yeah.
Or not, but I mean, I think we would
So it's
be.
not just a smoke break, so we're clear.
Yeah.
No smoke breaks.
Not these days.
Not these-
Yeah, not these days. But I'm, yeah.
Back down to the boiler room.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this district has done a really good job investing in wellness Wednesdays or in wellness in general. But it is a kind of like a separate entity of during the day instruction. So I
Yeah.
think that would be a great, like, hey, we've done a great job, pat ourselves on the back. Let's keep doing that. Now let's dig deep into how we can do this during.
But the day in and day out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah.
You've come to us with a concern, with some suggestions, not just a complaint.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Brett.
Right.
Megan.
I will do my best to keep it together. Things have been quiet on the classified front. We haven't had a whole lot going on, with the exception of negotiations for a fair contract. We have been unable to come to an agreement as of 5:30 this evening, and we have made an offer that had 4 items that needed to be agreed upon. A stipend for SEP or for SPED IAs who are required to ride the bus, which is outside of their normal working hours, bereavement leave, salary code changes, and workplace safety. The classified staff do not feel valued. They are working for a school district that pours money into a wellness program, but will not support language that keeps them safe during the workday. The district will buy them lunch 1 day a month and will not allow them to call for a timeout when working with a student who is physically, emotionally, sexually, or mentally abusing them. We were told that it was the person's job to work with that student or not have a job. How can staff feel valued with that? Unfortunately, it was decided this evening by myself, the OSCA Chapter 107 president, and the bargaining team that the roadblocks the district has placed by refusing to disclose what it is in our proposal they weren't on board with, that mediation is necessary. Despite the superintendent reporting about prioritizing safety, it is clear that it is not the priority she portrays.
I just have a quick question for you, Megan. Yeah. And any process along this way, or even the last proposal that the district has had, have you taken that to your members for a vote at all, or is it all?
It's the bargaining team, so we have not, that we've been transparent about the things that are on the board. There have been staff who have asked questions about those things. But the bargaining team of 9 people who the classified staff voted into that position are the ones who are deciding at what point do we say we're comfortable with this for the entire body, and then we take it to them for a vote.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Public comment. So time for public comment. The meeting will now be open to receive public comment. We value the time and initiative members of the public take to share their thoughts with the board. The board's role during public comment is not to immediately
Sorry.
Oh, it's not to immediately respond, but to listen. If follow-up is necessary, we will direct our superintendent to do so. Remember that we are all role models for our students. Please share your thoughts respectfully. Should any public comment include complaints regarding a personally identifiable staff member, the board chair will direct the speaker to the proper administrative process found in board policy KL, public complaints. Speakers will have 3 minutes to express their thoughts. Do we have public comment? Come on up and just state your name for, we know who you are.
My name is Kelly Brendan. Is that all you want to know so far? I just wrote some words. So, I've always been proud that my husband, my children, one of them's here tonight, she doesn't want me to say that, have been students of Seaside their entire lives. I've worked on the budget committee a number of years. I'm an assistant secretary. I've been here for 3.5 years. I'm nervous. I'm sorry. I normally don't do things like this. My work here as an assistant secretary is meaningful. I love our kids, truly. I hope to work here for years to come. Thankfully, my husband works so hard that I'm able to work here. Otherwise, it is not financially viable for me to do so. I feel strongly supported by my immediate administration, specifically Jeff, Jason, Wendy, and Carlina. Tonight, I am saddened. I am disappointed by the state of our union negotiations and also shocked by a lack of respect. Respectfully chosen to go to mediation is not the term I would have used. I just want to encourage our board members. I respect you. I appreciate all the work that you do, unpaid, unsung soldiers. I just want to encourage you to not just hear what you're hearing. I want you to be able to ask questions, observe, let us speak. It's not just this one side. So, thank you.
Sorry, quick question. Are you part of the bargaining team?
I am not on the bargaining team.
You're not on the bargaining team.
No. Yep, come on up and just state your name. We just gotta come up so those at home.
I stand.
Yeah, you don't have to sit there, but for the folks at home so they can see you. Yeah, sorry.
Camera.
Everyone.
Anyway, some
Just-
people do know me here. My name is Thad Nolan, and I am the automotive instructor at Clatsop Community College. And I'm here to promote automotive. Imagine that. So I went to a lot of board meetings before this building was built, okay? And I looked at the plans, I talked to a lot of people that were on the board back then. And one of the phrases they used for me when I said, gee, we could probably put a auto shop in here, or we could do something in that realm for CTE. And I was told that I was preaching to the choir. So, are we still the choir, or, sorry if I'm being sarcastic, but if we had just a small space, we could mirror the program that we have at Clatsop for entry-level students. Okay, it's Auto 101. Okay, we learn how to use a screwdriver, how to look at wiring diagrams and all this other stuff. Maintenance things that you do on your own vehicle. If you don't have the ability to rebuild a transmission, I understand that. But at least when you go to the shop or a dealership and they start telling you about, well, you're gonna have to put a little bit more blinker fluid in and the flux capacitor is not quite tuned up. And believe it or not, they kind of do that. At least you have a knowledge base that you can go with. Okay, not to mention, yeah, you can change your own cabin filter, your air filter, things like that. I have been doing auto mechanics for almost half a century. Okay, I started in a gas station when I was 14 years old. I'm not quite 14 anymore. But I have never been without a job. I have never not made my mortgage payments. I have fixed my own hot water heater, my own dryer, my own refrigerator. I do air conditioning. I do wiring. Okay. But there's also a very critical thing. How much time do I have, by the way?
You have 43 seconds.
Oh, crap. Sorry. It's critical thinking in sciences. Okay. Pascal's law of pressure. Okay, we have Ohm's law of electricity. We have Watt's law, again, of power and everything else. There are so many critical thinking skills that you have to make it work. And I was on a listening committee with OEB and Steve Klein, if you know who he is. And one of the things that a lot of the shops and everything said is that mechanics have to have good reading skills. Okay, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. You don't get to work on any car in my shop or anything else unless you read the book.
So just to be clear, you're asking for additional consideration of those opportunities.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because when I went to school here, I'll make this really short. I was able to do auto shop and everything else like that.
Got it.
And still do 3 sports, and I got 6 letters. My brother beat me. He only did sports, and he got 7 letters. But if you go to anywhere else, you don't have time to do sports. And that's what a lot of the students tell me is we can't do sports and we really like sports. I really like sports.
Yeah, you'll have to come back another time and get more 3 minutes.
Thanks, Dad.
More 3 minutes.
Good to see you.
All right, anyone else? Oh, we got more. Anyone else? Kyle, anyone online?
Oh, I think she's coming.
Oh, I think she was just.
I think she's.
Coming up. Oh.
Yep.
Oh, she's coming up, good.
So,
Like the
Thad and
pictures.
I'm Kimberly Herder. It was Kim Mackey when I went to school here. I'm a classmate of Thad's, our class of 1980, was much taller than. The first time I was graduated, I was 5'2" and 98 pounds. So do all my growing in college and post kids. But anyway, I'm here because there's a lot of frustration. I went to high school here, went off to university, done great things. The first time I ever, I've spoken in front of the school board once. Before I was junior class president. We were going through a really tough time in 1980 or 78-ish. And levies were failing. We were cutting classes. Even my senior year, I only went to 2 classes a day because we had to cut so many staff, that sort of thing. Coach Maddox. I actually spent part of my day. I was Mrs. Psyches, who taught kindergarten.
Okay.
I was an aide, taught reading. That's what we had to do. Oh my God. Okay,
Right,
so
that's
I am, so I'll also let you know that I have spoken at over 100 school board meetings, different school districts in Oregon, Nevada, Hawaii, and Alaska. I worked for Project Lead the Way, which is the nonprofit that coined STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. I currently sit on the state board with the Department of Education as a volunteer that oversees CTE grants and revitalization grants. I have received grants, I have written grants, I now review grants. And I can tell you that Seaside School District is missing out on a ton of money. Part of my job is and can fund the things that Thad is talking about. And I wrote the grants for what Warrenton is doing. I wrote the grants for what Churchill High School did, and your daughter participated in biomedical, right? And I've written engineering. I'm all over the place because I also have to tell you that most school districts give you 10 minutes. So, and I'm usually asked to come speak. This is the first time I've been someplace where I'm here offering my services, begging that something has to get done. I can get really pissed off like Thad is and say that in some circles, Seaside's a laughing stock. Because this community being supportive, having incredible community support, but we are all, and we're not going to question that. I am offering my services.
Say, can you send us your information?
I can send you your information, but I can also tell you that, I will show up on your doorstep because, I'm now at a place where I'm retired and I've had enough. So when you talk about Philip or Bruce's Candy Kitchen, David was in our class, was the quarterback at the time. I'm just letting you know that I am offering my services. I think with Providence hospitals, we can maybe work on doing some health occupations. We can use Skills USA, which is the largest.
I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to invite you, like, get your information so we can talk about a time where we can give you an actual like time to like come in and, you know,
I think
talk
I would
about
like,
these
what I would
grants
like.
And
Yeah.
we can get your information and then bring you in within it, so we can hear more about it, you know what I'm saying? So we can hear an actual like dedicated time.
Yes, but I also want to be on your side. I want to be a tree consultant that says, hey, this is what the rest of the country's doing. This is what they're doing in Hawaii. This is what they're doing in
That's why
Nevada.
that's why I bring you back for a dedicated time so that we can actually like hear more than 3 minutes of what you're offering.
You know what? And I think I would suggest that you entertain the idea that perhaps that you do increase to at least 6, if not 10 minutes for public comment, because that's kind of the norm.
Okay, well, thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
I live in Portland now. I'm
Okay.
down here for the next couple of days and I have my mom with me who was graduated in 1958 here as well. And we're in town for 3 days, and my calendar would be open to any of you who would like to talk tomorrow, tonight, Thursday morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll hang out till the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments out there? Kyle, do we have anyone online? And nobody in the chat? Okay. Yeah.
This is old home.
Hey, consent agenda. Did everyone get a chance to review the consent agenda?
Yes. Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
The motion's been made to approve the consent agenda, made and seconded. Any questions?
Yes,
Yes.
for the BHD policy. Back up there. For stipends and reimbursements.
Can you
Yeah,
say which
yeah,
one it
what's
is
your
again? For stipends and reimbursements, where it says to disclose the fact that it could be a conflict of interest for us to go on or discuss that one. We should disclose that, it says.
I'm sorry.
It says we should disclose that in the meeting
Which part are you talking about?
at the beginning of it.
Board members have a potential conflict of interest when voting.
Do you have a
Oh,
conflict of
thank you.
interest, Sonia?
No, I just thought that it said
You're
that we
voting for your own
should put
stipend,
that
you would.
up there and we're voting on that, right? Because that's how I took it.
Is this something
But
that's
the-
being considered currently, or is, I mean, is
So-
this coming out of OS?
So this is a policy, this is the board policy about stipends and reimbursements. And if, individual boards make the decision if they want to receive a stipend. This board has made the decision not to do that. So, so this does not pertain to you in the sense that you as a collective board have elected to not have a stipend.
Okay.
Mhm.
In other words, we're not voting on anything where we have anything to gain.
We're
Correct.
keeping it
Right.
as is.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Right.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, consent agenda approved.
Action item.
Item. We are under resolution 2, low income housing property tax exemption.
All right, we have Steph online here.
Yeah.
Steph, are you still with us? I know you've
Yes,
you,
I'm still here. Hi.
Hey, Susan, can I just ask for like a 5-minute break just to take a bite? And then we can go, because I don't want to miss this, but.
Sure, and then Kyle, can you project Steph? Thank you.
All right, we are back in session. Thank you. Steph, we're gonna start with you. If you're still there.
Yes, hi there. I sent a request to share my screen. I don't know if somebody can.
I got it. You should be good.
Yeah, you're
Should be good, you said.
go.
Can you see my screen?
You, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, here we go. I think it's this one right here.
There you go.
Got it? Okay, great.
Good.
Okay. Good evening. Hi, I am Steph Condor with Related Northwest. I'm here today to talk to you about a low-income workforce housing community that we are developing in partnership with the city of Seaside. I belong with a company by the name of Related. We're headquartered in Portland. I'm a former graduate of Seaside High School, 1993. I was actually a student of Mr. Maddox in junior high science, so nice to see you. So these are just a few examples of some of the communities that I've built in the Pacific Northwest. All of them are affordable housing, whether it's for senior, family, workforce, permanent supportive housing. They all are serving some of our more vulnerable residents. The site that I'm talking to you about today is kind of located on the North 40 of the old high school site. Right here you can see. This was actually, we were awarded through a public process, through a request for proposals, to create low-income housing on this particular site. It's basically bounded by Holiday and Roosevelt right there. So about a 2-acre parcel. We are the lead developer, which means that we're overseeing the construction, the design, bringing in the public funding, and all of the other elements to, getting it permitted and ready and all those things. We're partnering with Clatsop Community Action, which is a local service provider that's been providing services for the last 40 years. We're also bringing in Centro Cultural, which is a partner we've worked with a lot to also bring culturally specific services to the community that we're trying to outreach to. On that 2-acre parcel, what we have created or will be creating, we're just started construction this last week, is 69 units of affordable housing that's going to be located in basically 3 residential buildings that are 3 stories and a community building that's going to provide, property management, resident services, a community center. And I think it's also, say it's like 78 units of or parking spaces there, a top lot, a community garden, and it's adjacent to a future park by the city of Seaside. They're working on, doing some visioning on that. So we think locationally this has a lot of auspicious attributes to support working families. So when we talk about workforce housing, who we're serving is 60% area median income and below. Though we will also have a rental preference policy for City of Seaside residents, individuals that are employed in the City of Seaside or seeking employment, and formerly residents of City of Seaside within the last 5 years. This has been financed through low-income housing tax credits and state funding, leveraging public sources of funding to be able to deliver this type of housing. Permits have been issued. We broke ground this last week. We're very excited. It's going to offer a solar array. It's going to have sustainability goals and culturally specific services on site. This gives you kind of a sense of the layout. It's a 3-story wood construction. It's walk up. It's not elevator served. 3-bedroom. There's studios 1s, 2s, and 3s. The 3 bedrooms have laundries in the unit, and then the other units are served by like a central laundry system. And here's our community space. These are some renderings of what the property will look like once it's built. Give you a sense of the scale. You can see we're going to do a mural kind of along the frontage there to bring some interest to the community. So the rents are set based on HUD's annual incomes. They basically do a census and decide what the average incomes are, and then they back into the rents based on 60% area median income. So we're going to have 15 studios, 18 1s, 24 2s, and 12 3-bedrooms. Rents will range from about $950 up to about $1,400 per unit. The unit sizes will range from about 450 up to 1,200 approximately square feet. This gives you a sense of what the income levels would be to qualify. So for a single household, somebody with an income of up to $40,500 will qualify, or somebody with a 6-person household could make up to $67,140 annually. Community amenities, we're going to have a covered barbecue area, community building, on-site property management, tot lot, community garden. This is kind of an idea of what the interiors are going to look like. This is up here, the community building, the interior, some of the finishes and color schemes. This is a rendering of what the community center will look like. This is some information about Clatsop Community Action. I had actually had discussions with Susan and Jason Boyd at Seaside High School and talked to them about, who are the outstanding service providers in the area. And so they pointed me in such a fantastic, direction. They've been wonderful to work with, and we think they're the perfect partner to assist in supporting residents with anything from utility assistance, food stability, and just understanding the myriad of things that are barriers to individuals that are lower income to help assist them on site. And Centro will be coming down once a month to bring other supportive services that are culturally specific and translation services and things of that nature for our Latinx population. So the reason I'm here today, not only to inform you about this opportunity, because, when I was first going out and researching about what are the barriers that exist for housing, I grew up in Seaside. Many tourist-based economies are faced with similar situations with a lack of housing for their workforce. And one of the things that I heard from the school district was having a hard time being able to keep staff in the area, being able to keep students in housing in the school district, and also being able to attract new teachers to come into the school district because of a lack of housing. So this is also a response to that type of feedback of thinking about who we're serving and how we're serving them. So we are asking today for an approval from the school board for tax exemption. I do understand that Seaside is a very unique school district. I think one of 4 that receives, the lion's share of their funding through property tax exemption. This particular site has always been publicly owned, whether it was by the high school or then the county and then to the city. And this will go on to serve a public need. So it's never been a property tax income generator. So what we're asking for is a property tax exemption. We've already had it codified at the city of Seaside's level, and the city of Seaside has agreed to it, but we need 51% of taxing bodies to be able to agree to that to get the full exemption. In affordable housing, it's critical to have property tax exemption to make the deal work, because you imagine you're having like a 40% haircut or more on your revenue. You have operating expenses that are equal to or greater than market rate housing. And so one of the ways to assist in facilitating that the project cash flows is by reducing the property tax exemption. So there's that. Let's see here. So, from my perspective, affordable housing will be a big benefit to the city of Seaside and also the Seaside Schools District, because with our preference, it assists to provide housing to support local services, schools, and businesses. It's housing to help with Seaside School District staff. It's housing to stabilize vulnerable school children and families. It has on-site services and after-school programs, culturally specific services. We've leveraged almost 15 million in state LIFT funding, 12.5 million of low-income housing tax credits, 170,000 solar grants, 500,000 in Care Oregon grants, 240,000 weatherization grants. It takes a lot of work to bring these to fruition. This is money that we're bringing into your community. We have 40% of local contracting participation, so it's creating economic opportunity right now. And it's long-term affordability. This is going to be affordable for over 60 years. That's what our regulatory requirements require of us. And so, I know we've been here a long time, so I wanted to deliver that and then open it to any questions. I'm also joined here by Mayor Wright for the city of Seaside, who's here to support this.
So is the exemption 60 years then? Is that how long this would? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Harder. Yeah.
How do we ensure that our staff is actually able to benefit from the housing?
Yeah, so just to speak to what Steph said, the biggest impact for our staff would be for our classified staff who definitely would qualify for this. So I appreciate that that is a priority for people who work in Seaside. And so I think not only would we have a lot of our staff who work for our district but live outside of Seaside because they can't afford housing here. And then future staff that we hire also have access to that.
So to address your question though, how do you ensure that Seaside School District staff would qualify? What we do is about 6 months prior to construction completion, we start working with our service providers and our property management to identify a marketing plan. And in that, what we do is we go out and do pre-leasing activities and community engagement. So coming and talking to the schools, doing different engagement evenings. We do it at the senior center, library, at the school if they allow us, to just give information. And then from there, people are putting their names and their contact information on, expressing interest. We connect with them and start getting them application ready. So, and if that individual is seeking employment in the city of Seaside, or is employed in the city of Seaside, or lives in the city of Seaside, or has lived in the last 5 years, they get a preference. So they get bumped up. And that's, we can't cherry pick and say, you, and you get in. We have to do something that is, within fair housing guidelines, but this has all been vetted at the state level and with a federal fair housing attorney, that this is the way that we can try to ensure that we are serving the community that we are housing folks in.
Deb, can you talk to, regarding our families who are currently in the district? Often we have families who sometimes they need to leave because they lose their housing. Would there be priorities to families who are currently enrolled if they lose their housing and would apply for housing here?
Yeah, so if you've lived within the city of Seaside in the last 5 years, you're in the list. You're in the priority. If you are seeking, seeking employment, and you can, show that you've put in applications and things like that, then you're in the prioritized list. The point is we're going to do everything that we can to really do targeted marketing and preferencing for the city of Seaside. We're trying to house for the city of Seaside. We understand what a burden that is. It's getting harder and harder to live on the coast. My mom lives 2 blocks away from this site. It's kind of amazing how much things have changed in some sense and how hard it is for people to make ends meet that are working families, working households. And so this is a response to try to leverage resources to be able to create affordable housing. There has not historically been a lot of affordable housing that's come to this area, Clatsop County and Seaside. And so I feel really grateful for the opportunity to do it. But being able to get the tax exemption is going to be critical in having this property operate, basically, be able to have those services, be able to make ends meet. We're covering water, sewer, garbage for these families. We're providing full-time property management on site. We're bringing services and I'd say pretty good sized units, biggest ones I've developed to date. I felt that was something that I wanted to do for the city of Seaside is, make these as livable and just a happy place for people to grow up. So I'm
And
trying to do that.
the rent at 60% of BDM, is that stay in place during the entire 60-year exemption? Or is it always going to be rent?
It's always rent controlled at 60% area median income. That's the regulatory agreement when we take the money from the state. So, and it adjusts every year based on HUD's assessment of what area median income is.
So what's the total monies we're looking at here annually that would go to the city versus the school district?
Well, historically, there's.
But what in the future, if this was developed and this did not go through, what are we talking about?
We're talking about $0
Yeah.
for tax generous.
If
Well,
all this
let me.
$7 million.
Oh, you're saying like if it was like regular.
Right.
If we just said no, we want it, like how much are we talking about?
Well, I think something to recognize is this particular site was developed under SB 8, Senate Bill 2008 and House Bill 1537, which permits for you to develop affordable housing on light industrial land, which this is. It's publicly owned. This also has a covenant on the land from the county that went to the city that said it has to be affordable housing. So you wouldn't be able to develop this into housing if it wasn't affordable housing. And affordable housing won't get developed without having the property tax exemption. So the other method that we can go about is I could bring in the Housing Authority as a nonprofit partner to facilitate the affordable housing tax exemption. We really have to have it to make the deal work. And there isn't another higher and best use that you can get on this site because of the covenant agreements that run with the land. So there was one single family residence that the city assembled onto the site that was generating, I think, $3,000 or less annually. And don't quote me on that, but it was, I think a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, single family residence. It was pretty, so that's what you're foregoing.
A year.
Yeah. Thank you.
It was a.
Can you bring our face? Can you put our face back in? I love a good thank you slide. Feels rude.
There we go.
All right, there we go.
Nice.
Okay, so there is no, because it wasn't before, and the potential, no matter what, for how this land could be developed. What we're really talking about is losing out. If we said like, no, we like taxes, we want you to pay them, and go fish, then we would potentially losing out on $1,300 annually.
Well,
We're all,
not
that's,
even that because
that's a
it's now
fact.
city owned,
I don't know,
so.
Yeah.
even if it was $1,300, we can cover it.
Yeah.
But I just want to be clear that like, that is a fact. That is what was presented to you and the city. And the city said, yeah, we're good. Somehow we'll find a way to get by without that $1,300.
Well, the
Or
$1,300
their $2,600 or $1,300.
is not an option anymore because the city purchased.
Right.
Right.
You know how much I love to spend money, and the 13, I'm not worried about $1,300. But I just want to be clear to the group and to everyone here, that's what we're passing.
Correct.
The city actually waived all SDC fees as well.
I don't know what that is.
That's the fees you get charged to build.
Building
Okay.
planning.
Sewer.
Okay.
Water sewer.
And as a note, I mean, I've developed about 1,700 units in the Pacific Northwest, and every single community that we've developed has had 100% property tax exemption. It is one of the key drivers to incentivizing and delivering affordable housing. And you know, if you develop in the state of Washington and California, they have it codified at the state level. You don't have to go through this particular process. But in Oregon, it's by jurisdiction. So the city of Seaside has actually codified it into their ordinance to facilitate this in the future. However, it is discretionary. You can decide not to do it based on the merits of the project. It's up to you. So, you know, hopefully this project has enough merit that people can see the vision that it's going to serve the school district and the students and working families, you know.
Steph, you're vastly underestimating my love for housing. Yeah.
I just have one question. Is the city going to retain ownership of the land itself?
No, it goes into a partnership agreement with Related, who will be a long-term owner, and our nonprofit partner. The nonprofit, we have to have a nonprofit partner in the ownership to be able to facilitate the property tax exemption. They'll be annually submitting property tax exemption to be able to, at the county, to be able to, you know, get that annual exemption. But we still have to have this in a resolution that we have from the city, but we also need it from the school board.
So I want to clarify.
Property taxes.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that in the background memo, that is one of the attachments here. That was the information from our attorney. One of the potential concerns was that if this was setting a precedent for future low-income housing, please note the orange letter from Spencer Kyle, city manager, saying that if each project is an individual one. Maybe the mayor can explain this a little bit better, but
It was just basically, we came up with the same question. We wondered, does this lock us into anything in the future? Our ordinance says we can do this when we want to. Every deal that you do after that is up to the merits of that deal.
So this alleviates that concern from our legal counsel.
Same for the city council.
Right.
All right, let's get a motion.
I move to adopt resolution number 2, granting an exemption from property taxes under Oregon revised statutes for Seaside Pacifica apartment projects and affordable apartment development to be owned and operated by Seaside Pacifica Housing Partners Limited Partnership.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2, granting exemption from property taxes under Oregon revised statuses for Seaside Pacific Apartments project. Do we have more questions?
Maybe a comment.
Okay.
So we're saying either we're not really gonna make money on this without the housing. And if we say no, we're saying we are not gonna support.
Not granting them their tax exemption. All right,
I wanna-
let's,
Yeah, I was just kind of curious about the other properties that you created for similar instances, like, well, how successful have those properties been?
Yeah, I think very successful. You know, they've leased up really well. Every community is different. We've done music recording studios and after school music programs. We've done multicultural libraries. We've done fiber art studios, resiliency hubs. This community center is not just for the residents solely. This is something that the community at large can use. We feel that this is going to be another great successful community. We're long-term owner. Related is a national company headquartered in New York, 40 years going, 55,000 units of affordable housing across the country that they own. So, my group is very small in Portland. There's like 7 of us, and we operate locally, but we are part of something that is very reputable. And we take a lot of pride in the work that we're doing in the community. So I wouldn't bring this back to my hometown if I didn't think this was something that was really needed. This has been, for me, a very amazing experience to be able to give back. I really do have a lot of aspirations for this community. So
I think that's a neat connection. Stephanie, there was a low-income project near the Home Depot recently in Clatsop County. Were you involved with that?
no, this is my first on the coast. Most of the stuff I've done is either been in the metro area. We're working, I'm doing 500 units in Milwaukee. I've done, and it's a big master planned community. We're doing some stuff in smaller like mountain towns up in Washington, like North Bend. We're doing some things in Tacoma and Vancouver, Tigard, a lot of stuff around Portland. When this opportunity came up, there's not a lot of land in Seaside. There's not a lot of opportunity to be able to do this. So this was a big deal to be able to partner with the city and work on their housing initiatives together. And they've been wonderful to work with. We've had a lot of support. Change is hard, but I think in general, we've had a lot of support for this. So we're excited.
all right, any other questions? All right, let's call for a vote. All those in favor of granting exemption from property taxes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Maddox. I turned out okay.
I have a personal question for you.
Yeah.
What was your last name?
Pender.
I'm sorry?
Pender.
Pender, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. You did a phenomenal job right here. That's
Thank you,
great.
Steph.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a nice night. Appreciate it.
Doors always open if you want to talk about what our next project is. I'm open to everything. Like she said, that was by far the biggest available piece of land. And this is the end of a 3.5-year project of mine. Once I heard that land was available, you can't turn down free land. So it started out, I thought maybe we could get 24 units on there. Well, we get 60.
And they say it's great.
I greatly appreciate it. Staff's doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Okay, Susan.
I'm gonna be so quick here. I'm gonna just listen quickly. Okay, as you know, our Student Success Act was from 2020. That came the money for the student investment account. We receive this funding in a biennium every 2 years. They have now required us to bring the grant agreement, which you see here, to the board for approval, as well as offering a time for public comment. This is already on our website. So I bring this grant agreement to the board for approval. Just really quickly, this grant agreement just puts it just lays out the requirements of quarterly reports that we put in, which is not only financial reports quarterly, but also for us to show progress on the work that we focus on, and that's the accountability aspect of it. So like I said, this is a 2-year, but they do allocate the money yearly. So this is the formality of the work. I also give you the yearly reports on the progress and how we're doing this funding. So we do need to pause and just check if there's anybody who would like to make public comment on this, since the public has seen this document ahead of time. If there's no public comment, then I bring it to you for approval.
Okay, real fast. This meeting will now be open to receive public comments specific to the Student Success Act Student Investment Account Grant. Again, we thank you for sharing your thoughts with the board and for acting as role models for our students. The board's role during public comment is not to immediately respond, but to listen. If follow-up is necessary, we will direct our superintendent to do so. Speakers will have 3 minutes to express their thoughts. Is there anyone that would like to speak specifically about the Student Success Act? Anyone on the? Okay.
I move to ratify the Student Success Act Student Investment Account Grant Agreement.
Second.
A motion has been made to ratify the Student Success Act and Student Investment Account. Any questions? All those in favor? Say aye. Motion carried. Susan?
All right, now we move on to the Oregon School Boards Association, the Board of Directors. Each area has a person who represents our position, which is position 14. This is Greg Kintz, who is a school board member in Vernonia. He is running unopposed. And each school district in that area needs to vote to elect that person, in this case Greg Kintz, to fill the position 14 on OSBA Board of Directors.
And he's been doing it for a while.
He's been doing it a
16 years.
long time.
16 years, Greg's been doing it.
And he's running unopposed.
I move to vote for Greg Kintz to fill position 14 on the OSB as directors.
Second.
All right, a motion has been made and seconded to vote Greg Kintz to fill position 14 on the OSBA Board of Directors. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the second.
Move to vote for Sandra Gomez.
USDA legislative policy committee.
Second.
All right, a motion's been made and seconded to vote for Sandra Gomez. Thank you, Sandra, for position 14 of the OSBA Legislative Policy Committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Love it. We have 2 vacancies on our budget committee. If you take a look at the attached document, we have 4 people who have applied to be on to fill those 2 positions. Something new this year with the Equity Advisory Committee is every budget committee in each school district must have a budget committee member who serves on the Equity Advisory Committee. Luckily, we did have somebody on here, Catherine Lacaze, who is currently on our Equity Advisory Committee. For districts that are not in that situation, they would need to appoint one of their budget committee members to serve on the Equity Advisory Committee, but that's not the situation for us. So once again, we have 2 open positions. One needs to be somebody that's on the Equity Advisory Committee and then another person. So what you see here in this table is the information on the 4 people who applied. What what you need to do tonight is, you'll review these applicants, but more importantly, you'll establish a process for appointing. So what we've done, what we did last year is, Leslie sent out a form to you for you to rank or choose your top 2 candidates. And then she compiled that. And in the December board meeting, you appointed the candidates who received the majority of the votes.
So we need 2?
We need to pick 2. Yeah, we don't do it tonight.
Okay.
You
Nope,
just need
we
to
don't do
read
it
through
tonight.
this, and then Leslie will send out a form if everyone agrees with that. Everyone can pick their top 2. We can even put a little blurb if you want, and then send it back. And then at the next meeting, we will
Correct.
vote the top 2. Sound good?
Right, because there's 2 positions open, correct?
There's 2 positions
Yeah.
open. Yep.
Great.
So we need to. We need a motion on something.
I move that each board member submit a ranked list for the 4 budget committee applicants before December 1st. Then at the December regular meeting, the board will take action to appoint the top 2 candidates to the budget committee.
Second.
All right, a motion has been made and seconded that each board member will submit a ranked list of 4 budget committee applicants before December 1st. Then at the December regular meeting, the board will take action to appoint the top 2 candidates to the budget committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. It's approval from gift. Approval gift from Rack Room Shoes.
Yes.
These words are hard to
Rack
type.
Room Shoes is always very generous with us. Each year they make a donation to us. And this year it is $5,119.45.
This is cash.
How many years have they been doing this, Julie? 7 or 8?
But is it shoes or is it cash?
It's a gift card, yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
And then we go
I should.
pick out shoes for kids.
Hey,
I move to approve the gift to Pacific Ridge Elementary for Rack Room Shoes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the gift to Pacific Ridge Elementary from Rack Room Shoes. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Rack Room Shoes. Very generous.
I move to have this discussion about chapter 2 to the next meeting.
You know, I'd like to just throw this out. I read this book a long time ago and it really does not apply to public. I checked and he did write a book because he recognized this is stock price. This is measuring outcomes on a stock price. And it's interesting because it's so old that 10 of the 11 haven't even hit the S&P average for the past 10 years. So, I mean, this is so old that some of these companies aren't even around. So it just is, it's kind of old material on for a stock-based measurement. And it just doesn't apply to, so I was looking for it, but it's called Good to Great Social Sectors. And it's a book that talks about, because it's totally different how you measure public.
Will we
versus-
revisit this then?
Sure.
Revisit the
Yeah,
book
yeah.
topic if we want to keep doing it. I mean, I think it's getting late and
We still have an
we
executive
still have an
session.
executive session.
Yep.
So can we?
I think so. I have opinions on this book too, but I would like to hold off until the next session. That's okay with everybody.
I think that sounds great.
Great.
Okay.
I think we just continue reading to chapter 3.
I really want to.
Do you right now?
Hang out. But I agree. I think
Good night,
differing
Sheila.
opinions on, what we want to keep doing with the book, but let's
Oh.
have it.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm not excited about the.
I've read it.
Anyone have any grand reflections from the convention?
Yeah, I would just like to say that, in piggyback,
Sorry, I missed it.
oh, yeah, we missed you.
Mm-hmm.
In piggybacking on the middle school's advisory committee, I sat in, a student advisory committee, workshop that discussed, having a student advisory committee for the board or for the superintendent. I worked with the superintendent. And it really talked about engaging students who aren't always engaged in, or participating and, or included. So it was about taking a range of students from different areas to get the temperature, the feel, and the ideas of what's going on in the schools. And so I thought it was a really good idea, and I'd like to toss that out there as an option.
Susan went to it too.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
session.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of really good things to say.
Yeah. And in attendance, I think it could be a huge part of one, supporting attendance, and two, supporting community outreach. Community outreach, I guess that's really.
It would.
Engagement.
And they had the student panel there talking, and that was just so meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything else?
Community engagement. I try to go to as many things about community engagement as possible. We got some good stuff. It's coming down the pipeline. We'll let everybody know. We talked about it in the meeting yesterday, but once we get everything formed, Jason and I were in the same meeting about the on-college school district and things that they did in their community. So it was very, I'm always wondering, it's like, gosh, do I want to keep doing this every year, be on the board? But then I go to these conventions and it kind of winds me back up again. To chug along some more, another year, we'll put another year in, I guess, Chuck. So, but that's what, my thing
You
was
just like
big time.
you just like the breakfast.
Oh my God. The community engagement is what I enjoyed the most, learning more techniques.
Awesome.
We talked about this last time, but Jason and I want to do a work session,
Yeah.
talk about strategic plan. Do we just email you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Because on there, I want to add CTE. It sounds promising to add that to the strategic, and it's an idea. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I know that it's all public information, it's all on the website, and I've been looking at it, but I don't have a printer that's gonna print that many reams of paper out. Do we have hard copies available of this year's budget, last year's budget, and the budget before?
Yeah, they're on the district office.
Okay, and can I have copies of
You
those?
may.
Do you want, which copies do you want?
This year's budget, last year's, and the year previous to that,
Okay,
so that I can actually wrap my head around better just exactly what it is that we're doing with money.
Sure. All right, I want to remind everyone that the next December meeting is the second Thursday of December, December 11th. So make sure your calendars reflect that, so remember to be there. I'm sure Leslie will send us all a reminder. Does anyone want to be the greeter in that meeting?
Oh, it's December.
Yeah, December 11th. Sandra.
Conflict that day, so.
It's a
Yes.
Thursday.
It's the.
Okay, Sandra's gonna be our greeter. You wear your fancy shirt.
I gotta find a sparkly shirt.
Yeah. Okay. Good job, everyone. The board will now recess the regular meeting to meet in executive session. There are 3 items being considered in executive session. Number 1, pursuant to ORS 192.6602A, to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. 2, ORS 192.6602D, to conduct deliberations with persons designated to carry on labor negotiations. And 3, ORS 192.6602I, to review and evaluate the performance of the superintendent or any other public officer, employee, or staff member unless that person requests an open hearing. Representatives of the news media are allowed to attend. All of the members of the audience will be moved to the Zoom waiting room. Or if you're in the audience, you have to leave, sorry. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No final decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to the open session and waiting participants will be readmitted to the meeting. All right, this meeting is recessed.
Okay, everyone is now joining, you're good to go.
All right, so we are going to reconvene the regular meeting session. All right, we have one.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to accept the letter of termination.
A second.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the letter of termination. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you all for a wonderful meeting. No, it's long. This meeting's adjourned.